Well, welcome back to part three. We're going to now talk about the short run equilibrium of the firm using the marginal approach. It is more useful to analyze the short run equilibrium of the firm with the marginal revenue and the marginal cost approach. The formulas don't change. It is always the change in something. So marginal revenue is the change in revenue for 1 unit change in the quantity sold. So marginal revenue is the change in total revenue divided by the change in quantity. So marginal revenue here equals the slope of the total revenue curve. We said that in our example here that the slope of the marginal revenue curve was 8, which is also the price, which just happens to be also the marginal revenue. So if I ask you to calculate marginal revenue, just look at the price or calculate the slope, and that'll be given to you usually in the problem. So there's no calculation that you have to do. But if you forget, marginal revenue is equal to the change in total revenue divided by the change in quantity. Marginal revenue is always equal to price. The marginal approach tells us that the perfectly competitive firm maximizes its short-run total profits at an output level where marginal revenue or price equals marginal cost, and marginal cost is rising. Please highlight, put a big huge asterisk beside bullet point number 1, that marginal revenue or price equals marginal cost, and marginal cost is rising. That's because marginal costs and marginal revenue will be equal at 2 places. The first place where they are equal, marginal costs are falling. We have to get past that, move along, increase our output to where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, and marginal costs are rising. We'll see that in the diagram coming up. So the firm is in short-run equilibrium at this best or optimal level of output. That is where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost is equal to price, and marginal cost is rising. Once again, that is key. So we have here the table that we will be working with. We are given our quantity, price equal to marginal revenue is equal to then total revenue, total cost, marginal costs, our average costs, our profits per unit, and our total profits. So once again, it's the change here. Price and marginal revenue are the same. So it'll be 8, the straight down. Marginal cost will be the change in total cost divided by the change in quantity, which would be 2,000 less 800 divided by 100 less 0, recorded in the middle. The next one would be 2,300 less 2,000 divided by 200 less 100, recorded in the middle. Average profits per unit is the same as always in your accounting course. So somewhere along the line in this calculation, you're going to come across that marginal cost, marginal revenue will be equal at 2 places. The first one, always the first one, marginal after the 8, where they are equal for the first time, marginal costs will decrease. You will pass that, and then you will go on to the second one. And when you do the marginal change for total cost, the change in total cost divided by the change in quantity, here it would be 4,000 less 3,200 divided by 700 less 600 divided, and that would be equal to 8. Please, in your notes, write this is equilibrium. And then you fill out the rest of the table per se. And here at this equilibrium spot, when you do the next calculation, you will see that marginal costs are rising. So if you do 6,400 less 4,000 divided by 800 less 700, you will get 24. So in the middle at 650 is your equilibrium spot. This is where the company wants to stay. Many of you are handing in assignments and you're not plotting or recording that marginal analysis is in the middle. Please record it in the middle and plot it in the middle on your graphs. So since marginal cost values refers to the midpoint between successive levels of output, the marginal cost at 650 units is 8 and is the same as the marginal cost along 700 units of output. So the profit maximizing or the best level of output for this firm can also be viewed on the graph that is coming up. Just hold on for a second here. And here is that graph. So as you saw in the first video, this straight line that's parallel to the the quantity axis, that is our demand curve. That is also our marginal revenue curve. That is also indicates the price in our example at $8. Here, right here is our marginal cost curve. You see it falling, crossing the, or intersecting with the marginal revenue curve at A prime. Then it continues to fall. It bottoms out and then it will start to rise again. And at D prime is the second place where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost is equal to price, and marginal costs start to rise. They actually skyrocket. D prime is the equilibrium point. That is where the firm wants to stay. So in this diagram, you will also see as the company increases its output, its marginal cost starts to decrease. And between A prime and D prime, marginal revenue is greater than marginal cost. Therefore, the firm will continue to produce. It will not produce past D prime because now marginal costs are greater than marginal revenue and it's going to decrease its profits. The following square, starting at the origin, 0, 0, up to 8, which is point G, over to D prime, down to 650 units, and back over to the origin. That large square represents total revenue. The smaller rectangle from the origin, 0, 0, up to F, over to D double prime, down to 650, back over to the origin, that is your total cost. So your total revenue, the big square less the rectangle, leaves us with our total profits. Our total profits here is represented by the rectangle G, D prime, D double prime, over to F. The distance between D prime and D double prime is the average profits per unit. And we'll go now back to, oh, 1 second. The B prime and E prime represent break-even points, okay? And A prime represents maximum loss. So looking at this here, the profit maximizing or best level of output for this firm can also be viewed on the graph that we just saw. And as long as marginal revenue exceeds marginal cost, that is between point A prime to D prime, please highlight, it pays for the firm to expand production. The firm would be adding more to its total revenue than to its total cost, so its total profits would rise as long as it increases production between A prime and D prime. It does not pay for the firm to produce past point D prime since marginal costs exceed marginal revenue. Because at D prime, the marginal costs and marginal revenue are equal at 8, and then our next calculation took us to 24. The company won't do that. The firm would be adding more to its total cost than to its total revenue, and so its total profits would fall if it produced past D prime. The firm maximizes its total profits at the output level of 650 units given by point D prime, where P, price or marginal revenue, equals marginal cost, and marginal cost is rising. Please highlight bullet point number 1. The profit per unit at this level of output is given by the distance D prime, D double prime, and in this case, it's going to be $2.60. Once again, total profits is given by the area of the rectangle D prime, D double prime, F, and G, which equals $1,690. And I think this is the end of video number 3, and we will see you shortly.